Having any fun yet?
Top Gun Maverick is the long-awaited sequel from the 1986 classic. But do we really need it? After more than 30 years of service as one of the Navy's top aviator, Pete Mitchell is where he belongs, pushing the envelope as a courageous test pilot and dodging the advancement in rank that would ground him. Top Gun means a lot to so many people. It was a classic film in the 80s. People grew up with it. There are so many iconic lines from that film. There are memes. There's everything. It was also revolutionary. The way they filmed it, using the real jets, all of that. And for someone like me who didn't grow up with Top Gun, I only saw it twice. I saw it once when I was in middle school, and then I rewatched it on Monday to prepare for Top Gun Maverick. And for me, I really appreciate Top Gun. I'm not in love with it like a lot of people are. I do appreciate how revolutionary it was. I appreciate the iconic lines and some of the performances and some of the cheesiness. But for me, it's a film that I can't just sit down any day and watch it. I know a lot of people feel that way about that film, but for me, I think it's somewhat boring, but I can appreciate what it did. And when I heard they're making a sequel to it, my first thought was, do we really need it? Do we really need a sequel to Top Gun? And I am so happy how wrong I was. I absolutely love Top Gun Maverick. This is a perfect sequel in my opinion. The best types of sequels are the ones that elevate everything from the original. And this is exactly what Top Gun Maverick does. I can't think of anything they could have done better with this film regarding elevating everything from the original. Let's first talk about the best part about this film, and it is the jet sequences, when they're actually flying the jets. As someone who's a film nerd, and just a nerd in general, this movie is absolutely mind-blowing. These sequences are some of the best action sequences I have ever seen. I cannot wrap my head around how hard it must have been to film these sequences, how much footage they had to go through to keep everything in continuity, all of that. It is absolutely impressive, remarkable. It is an achievement, and it is revolutionary, just like the original film. But these sequences, you feel like you are in the cockpit. When they take off, when they're cutting through tight corners, when they're flying away from enemy jets, it all feels so real. And the thing is, how they filmed it, it pretty much is real. I read that they barely used any CGI in those sequences. So all of that is pretty much legit. And it makes the film feel so real and so much fun, and these sequences are so intense. The original Top Gun, it seemed like the whole objective of the movie was to be top of your Top Gun class, and then they were thrown into a dogfight towards the end of the film. What I think that Top Gun Maverick succeeds better than the original film is that we are introduced to the mission pretty much at the beginning of the film. So, by the end of the film, when we do this mission, that sequence, you know exactly what they're supposed to do. So when things start to go a little bit wrong, it throws everything off. You understand what the objective is, and it makes the whole entire sequence so intense, but it's so fucking cool. It is flawless. It is mind-blowing. This is exactly how you're supposed to make an action summer blockbuster. They need to make more films like this. When they use less CGI, they use everything that feels more real, and everything is real. It is mind-blowing. But the heart and soul of this film is Tom Cruise as Maverick. And it's not just him. It's also Miles Teller as Goose's son. That's not really a spoiler because that's in the trailer, but their dynamic is really the heart and soul of this film. Maverick has a lot of personal demons he's dealing with. He's not perfect. If you've seen the original film, he's still cocky, he's still confident, he's still Maverick, but he's still dealing with a lot of personal issues. And I think everything they did with Maverick and Goose's son was perfect. It was so well done, and it had a lot of emotional weight to it. But I think the most emotional part of this film is what they do with Iceman. Now, I won't talk about it at all because it has to do with some real-life things that are happening with Val Kilmer, but there was one sequence with him and Tom Cruise that felt so real and authentic, and I thought it was just beautiful. And I won't talk about too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but that was, for me, the most emotional part of this film. And overall, the film was very emotional. Yes, in Top Gun, there are parts, I won't spoil the original Top Gun, there are parts that feel emotional, but I never really felt it, like the full weight of it. Here in Top Gun Maverick, it's like the heart and soul of the film. And that's what makes the jet fighting and those sequences even more intense and even more fucking great. Everything in this film just blends together perfectly to make what I think is what you're supposed to make a summer blockbuster. The heart, the action, all of it. It's blended together perfectly. I think tonally it's perfectly done. There are some cheesy moments, but it's not as cheesy as the original Top Gun, and it's a good thing it's not because, like I was just saying, of those emotional moments. I feel like they had the tone down perfectly. I don't think this is perfect, though. I think the film could be a little bit shorter. It's a little bit too long, and I think how they fix that is take away the sequences and parts where Tom Cruise has a love interest. You know you have to have that in a Top Gun film, but I feel like you could get rid of those parts. The movie would be a little bit shorter and just focus on the dynamic with Maverick and Goose's son. There's like one or two parts with his love interest that gives character to Maverick, but I think the real heart and soul of this film is with Maverick and Goose's son. And there's a part in the film, this is me being nitpicky, there's a part in the film where a song is played, and if you have watched Top Gun, you know exactly what the song is, and it's like an emotional gut punch. You're like, oh, that's so sad. And then they kept cutting back the clips from the original Top Gun movie, like we would forget that. Or it's like people who've never seen Top Gun would need to understand what that means. It's like, no, reward the people who have seen the original Top Gun and understand that reference. I think that scene would have been a little bit more emotionally powerful. But overall, I don't even care about those issues because I walked out of this film mind blown, honestly, because of all the technicalities behind this film, how it was made, and then also the emotional weight in this film as well. It's all blended together so perfectly, and that's why I think it's one of the better summer blockbusters I've seen. I hope they make films more like this. And honestly, one of the better sequels I've ever seen. I'm going to give Top Gun Maverick 9 Davey Daves. This film's also very funny, too. I kind of forgot to mention that, but there are parts where I was actually laughing out loud at some of the shit Maverick was doing, other characters. It's just a fun summer blockbuster film. Please go check it out once it's in theaters, and let me know what you guys think. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davey Dave's Takes.